This Road to Prosperity video is sponsored by Vandergraaf, the leader in the design and manufacturing of high-quality, premium efficiency conveyor belt drives. The Grizzly Drive drum motor is built to operate in harsh, dusty, abrasive, and extreme environments where performance and durability matter most.
There's a lot, obviously, that you track for the construction materials industry, for the aggregates industry, and maybe we just wanted to start kind of what's happening trend-wise with aggregate production and pricing. And I feel like the 24 storyline on those fronts, George, is very much similar to what we saw in 23. Volumes continue to dip. Pricing gains continue to be made by producers by and large, it seems. How would you characterize what you saw on the production and pricing fronts for the aggregate industry and other construction materials markets, if you want to dive in there?
Yeah, so I think you almost have to go back to late 21 when inflation raises its ugly head, right? And that gave way to price increases starting in earnest probably in the second, third quarters of 22. There's a lag, right? You get that news about inflation, and then you get together and say, well, hey, our costs are going up, we got to increase our prices. So in late 22, you started seeing really good price increases all the way through 23 and into 24. So you've had a good run. And when you saw those price increases, even if the volumes were modest, you saw a significant improvement to the bottom line, right? So we saw all the public companies who were reporting, it was almost a broken record. Every quarter was we've had record revenue, record profitability. And in fact, you saw profit increases, EBITDA would be a measure of profit they use, in the neighborhood of 30% increases year over year. And then we started seeing it moderating. And in fact, now we're seeing reports of more typical earnings growth and revenue growth. And I'm not sure if it's the cause, but it's probably one of the causes why we've seen actually a decrease in some of the stock prices in the industry.
Significantly toward the end of 24, right?
Right, and when I've been doing this presentation, we have this construction materials index where we take the publicly traded companies in the space, create an index, compare it to the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500. And every year we were saying we're far outperforming. And it was really because of the benefit of the IIJA Act, right? And the economy was doing pretty well coming out of COVID. And now we're seeing things still good, but the rate of growth has really moderated. And on top of that, we're seeing the last 4 quarters or so, we're seeing the volumes decreasing. And so what's going on there, right? Is it inflation just took fixed dollar funding and said that dollar funding now can only do so many lane miles, which means so many tons of asphalt or cubic yards of ready mix, and therefore so many tons of crushed stone or sand and gravel? That's probably one of the causes. Is it the slowdown in residential and the non-residential construction? Probably there as well. Again, inflation, when we look at the dollars, we're forecasting, for example, this year, 2% increase in residential dollars and 2% increase in non-res. We remember that all construction is bucketed by the U.S. Census Bureau into these 3 categories, right? Residential, non-res, and non-building structures. And so if we have 2% growth in dollars and we continue to have inflation north of that, we're probably having a tempering in units. And I think that's what you're seeing. I think recycled materials might be playing a role in this, right? The USGS, when it reports its tonnage, recycled, so for example, 2 big primary uses of our crushed stone and sand and gravel, asphalt and ready mix concrete. On the asphalt side, they're ever increasing the amount of recycled material they can use. So that means less virgin aggregates. So that could be a cause. But I think the other piece that people are saying is there's been price leadership through this. When we had inflation, we had a lot of major producers going out and saying, because of inflation, we need to raise our prices. And historically, the public companies have been good about that. And the private companies, when we represent somebody for sale, we'll go in and say, what would happen if you just across the board increased your average selling price by $1 a ton? And they typically say nothing. they've been reluctant. Their customers become their friends. And so, whereas the public companies, they have all the analytics, they have the pressures for earnings and all. But now I think inflation and this movement in price increases, everybody has figured out following price leadership. And so the argument now is not so much inflation, but hey, we have scarce resources here. And we're not chasing volume, we're chasing profit. So it's a puzzle, and I think all these factors are contributing.
Thank you to Vandergraaf for sponsoring this Road to Prosperity video. Visit vandergraaf.com to discover the cost-saving and safety benefits of the innovative Grizzly Drive drum motor. Learn how the Grizzly Drive reduces maintenance costs while delivering reliability and longevity for belt conveyors operating in the harshest of environments.